of Ivy Tech and Elizabeth Hibbler of Ivy Tech. And of course, I would say it this way, do not be offended, my bosses, Miss Kelli Marshall and Miss Hart, who are kind of directing me and make sure I don't say anything out of order. However, again, welcome here to the Parent Information Watch Party, and we want you all who are listening, don't hesitate to ask your questions when the time comes. But I'm gonna pass it on now to Kelli Marshall because she is the one that's got to deal with the issues of education now and in the future. And as I always say, this GEO Next Generation is the new generation.
That's right. Thank you, Dr. Brown. And again, I am Kelli Marshall. I'm the proud principal of GEO Next Generation High School that will be launching this fall, opening our doors to grades 9, 10, and 11. And I am joined, as Dr. Brown said, with two of our partners, Elizabeth Hibbler and Cynthia Stout, who are representing Ivy Tech. And so without further ado, I'd like to pass the mic over to Cynthia, who will introduce herself and talk a little bit about Ivy Tech and its partnership with GEO.
Great, thank you. Well, we'll start with introductions. So I am Cynthia Stout. I'm Cindy Stout, the director of K-14 for Ivy Tech Community College in the central Indianapolis area. Our service area encompasses not only the city of Indianapolis, but all of our surrounding counties. We do work with 114 high schools and career centers, and we're excited about our new partnership as GEO Next Generation opens their building in our service area. And I'm joined today with my colleague, Elizabeth Hibbler. So I'll throw the mic to Elizabeth to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Hibbler. I work alongside Cindy Stout. We are in the Indianapolis downtown location of Ivy Tech, and I primarily work with schools that are in Center Township and some of our other charter schools across the central Indiana area. And so what I do is I make sure that students have opportunities to have access to dual credit. So that means taking college courses in their high school classroom, or sometimes even having opportunities for dual enrollment, meaning that the students get to come to an Ivy Tech campus. And that can be in a myriad of classes. You could be taking things that transfer to a general education course, or things that would transfer to a university or a different college, or you could be taking some of our CTE, so our career and tech ed courses that might qualify for a certification, like in fields such as culinary or automotive. So those are some of the opportunities that we work with students for.
So Kelli, does that work for introduction, or you want us to dive on in?
That is a great introduction.
Okay.
And I know a lot of our parents have had just general questions about what the actual experience looks like for those students that could be entering onto that college campus. So any additional information that you can offer them now would be great.
Okay, well, we're all entering or continuing to exist in a world that is nebulous and not quite as clear as we would have liked, or as we would have talked about 9 weeks ago. Our campuses are still open. We'll be opening back up. We don't know what that plan is, but we have plans in place for the summer semester for our students to continue to take college courses in a virtual format. Our professors have had lots of opportunity to be well trained and have the tools that they need in order to really work with our students in a variety of ways. We're using Zoom, we're using call-ins, we're using online chats. A couple of the content areas that are not quite as robust as they will be as we get on the other side of this curve are going to be some of those classes that are more difficult to replicate in your household. We love when we talk about the fact that we have lab science classes, but those labs, we're having to redefine what social distancing is and how many students can be in a lab with a professor at the same time. Same thing with our welding classes. We have 12 welding booths in our welding classroom, but you add teachers and aides, and all of a sudden we're violating social distancing. Our culinary arts labs. We can put students at kitchens, every other one, but they'll walk by the other student to get to the sink. So we're continuing to evaluate those, to look at those, to really make very, very savvy decisions. But when you really look at what happens when a high school student transitions to college, and this is one of the things we always have conversations with our school partners and our parent partners, we're going to measure a student's academic prowess, their placement. Where are they as far as the reading, writing, and numerical skills compared to what we would expect on a college classroom or in a college course. We have a number of products and services available that we can use to measure a student before we put them in a class to make sure they're going to be successful. But we're going to rely on the parents and the guardians in the school to help us decide, is that child also mature enough to be in a college classroom or to take a class online? The average age at Ivy Tech Community College is still sitting right around 26. So, would a 13-year-old be the right person to put in a human psychology class? Probably not. But a 17 or 18-year-old might be able to hold their own on that. The other thing, when we talk about prerequisites, we are looking at some measurements. In the past, we've been able to use PSAT scores, SAT scores, ACT scores. We had a proctored exam called AccuPlacer, and when you don't have testing centers open, that's a product that gets a little more difficult to use. We are able to use a cumulative GPA for the rising juniors and for the seniors as they transition. But Elizabeth, I'm going to throw it over to you to talk about our newest product, Knowledge Assessment, which gives the students an opportunity to really place themselves into the right college course. So Elizabeth, please.
Yes, so with our current situation, not being able to go in and test, Ivy Tech is now offering a product called Knowledge Assessment. And essentially you will be able to take a diagnostic exam at your own home, at your own pace. It is not proctored, you do it by yourself. And then once that's completed, we'll have a bigger picture of what your college readiness level is at. So as Cindy was saying, we don't want to put anybody in a class that they're not ready for, that they don't have the skill set to complete. So this is why we do a diagnostic test, just so we make sure that you're set up for success. And so we'll be able to offer any student, the next generation school, the ability to start out with knowledge assessment. If you don't get the score that you need for the general placement, the great thing about knowledge assessment is that it gives you lessons, so opportunities to improve your score over time. So it's not something that if you take it once and you don't hit the score you need, that doesn't mean that you'll never be able to take dual credit. It means you actually have an opportunity to improve. So I think that's really great. We'll send you the information, Ms. Marshall and Ms. Hart, about the Level Up initiative, and you'll be able to send that out to your parents and your students.
And then one of the things we want to make sure that the parents understand, and as we work with the school, they've got a really strong understanding of this. Your child may be extremely academically talented and maybe the most mature child you've ever met in your entire life. But we want to make sure as they take the college courses that they actually make sense when you look at the Core 40 diploma. So for example, English composition at the college can replace senior English. But if your student takes it as a freshman, what else do they still need to do when they're at the high school? So we're going to work very savvy. We're going to be very wise. We're going to look at what classes make the most sense as we look at not only getting your student a high school diploma, but as many possible credits as we can. And Dr. Brown, I'm going to go back to you and your love of life and your love of Ivy Tech. We're also going to look for opportunities that may be beyond that high school diploma. We're going to look at opportunities. If you've got a child who has told you time and time again, they're not interested in going to IU and get a 4-year degree. They're not interested in the School of Engineering. They really want to do something in hospitality or culinary arts. They want to be a chef. They want to work in the automotive industry. And in Indianapolis, that can mean working for one of the IndyCar teams and getting great opportunity to travel. Those courses are also going to be available through us. There'll be great electives. So again, as you look at GEO Next Generation High School, not only for the pathway for someone who's looking at a 4-year college and a bachelor's degree, but also those embedded certificates, those benchmarks along the way. It may be 18 credit hours, it may be 30 credit hours, it may be 60 credit hours with the associate's degree, but really working on customizing an education pathway that ends up not only with a high school diploma, but some real meaningful coursework as that student makes their transition either to post-secondary or to the workforce. So we're going to work very closely on identifying wants and needs and desires of your young people and make sure that we put together the best possible pathway either at the high school or on our campus, on one of our campuses.
Principal Kelli Marshall, they have laid out a beautiful, I call it a playbook. Do not be offended. I call it a playbook. You all got a playbook going on, and I appreciate that. That's why I said Ivy Tech is It's all over the state of Indiana, so I'll leave that alone. Up in everywhere. I've got colleagues in different places, but I want to throw this to Kelli Marshall to address back to our listeners and our audience. What type of students are we looking for? We're opening the door because we often say we want to deal with the disenfranchised, the least, the lost, and the forgotten. Am I missing the case, Kelli?
No, you're spot on. Absolutely. So at GEO, we're targeting our support. First of all, we're open to all students,
That's
but
right.
we are targeting our supports to those students that are often denied access to high quality instruction and opportunities. So when we have opportunities like this to partner with Ivy Tech, and I love how Cindy said, you know, customizing an education pathway, we're looking for partnerships that are taking, I would say, the journey of a student seriously and not just trying to fit them into a one size fits all. So when we've got students that are not often offered access to opportunity, we don't want to just throw them out there into the world, give them an opportunity, throw them to the wolves. We want to make sure that we're being as strategic as possible with, after that offering is you know, made accessible to them, that we're walking along that journey with them. So Dr. Brown, to your point, we're open to all, but again, we are focused on those students that are often neglected or denied.
Have to Elizabeth and Cynthia, how do you all see Ivy Tech dealing with, in this 21st century, how do you deal with what we call the disenfranchised? You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
Those
I think you're defining most of the students who are already coming to Ivy Tech. And that's going to be a student who may or may not fit the mold of a 4-year, may be more interested in actually finding that niche, going directly from high school into the workforce with some well-placed certifications. It may be a student who just truly needs the opportunity to look at education in smaller bites. So, you know, high school being 12 years, maybe another semester with a technical certificate, maybe another 1.5 years with an associate's degree, and then maybe directly to the workforce or the military, or you know, then allowing their employer to pay for that next thing. The other thing that's really important is all the support systems that we have on our college campus, with our ombudsman, with our tutoring centers, with our library, you know, disability support services, you know, being able to have scribes if it's necessary for a student to be able to be successful in class, to have interpreters for our students who may, you know, have a hearing loss, working very closely with students who may not be quite ready for college coursework, even if it's an adult learner, one of the parents of one of your students who perhaps is not a native English speaker, and being able to give them those coursework. So when you really look at, you know, any student who thinks that post-secondary is not for them, that they don't really need anything, that they can go and get that job that used to be at Ford or at GM Truck and Bus, which isn't there anymore, relying on our offices of career employment services and help students define some of those multiple pathways. And those are free products that we can offer to any of our high school students and their families. So really looking at, again, not a one-size-fits-all shop. Where are you wanting to go? What are you wanting to do? And how can we design that academic pathway for you?
You mentioned.
I think Ms. Hibbler may have something to add, Dr. Brown.
Okay.
Well, just agreeing with Cindy in the fact that we are a community college. So I think that's one of the best things, is that we are in your community. We live there, we work there, we're near you. Wherever you go in Indiana, you can find us. And so I think that really does change the dynamic for students who may not have had access before, just the ability to be able to go to a campus that's nearby.
It seems to me, after listening to both of you all, Cynthia used the word I haven't heard in ages, ombudsman. That's an old terminology. Remember, Kelli, that's an old terminology of an advocacy, ombudsman, stepping into the place. But what I want to ask is, you said something, and both of you have said, we deal with community. You're not only really helping the student that we're going to put in generation next, you're also helping parents, because you talk about some placement. Now, you may have parents that want to sign up from the children. Is that a possibility, Kelli?
Well, I was speaking today with a parent who is already enrolled in Ivy Tech. Mm-hmm. So I would be sure that she's not the only one, but no, that the parents have been really attracted to our programming because of their personal experiences and successes with Ivy Tech.
I think I'll add to that, Dr. Brown. We actually have about 5 or 6 parents, I believe, since I'm over enrollment, that are currently students with Ivy Tech. So it's going to be fun and interesting with our students attending Ivy Tech and perhaps running into their parents while being on campus for classes. I'm going to also take this time, Dr. Brown, for our new viewers or listeners, feel free to write in any questions you might have about GEO Next Generation High School. Our website is GEO Next Gen High School Indy.org. That's GEONEXTGENHSINDY.org. That number is 317-608-6220. Continue, Dr. Brown.
Or do you really want me to? Okay, I'll come back. Back to Elizabeth. Since you've been involved and you represent the school at the same time, you represent the challenges that take place in what we call the African American community, what would you recommend parents to know the significance of Ivy Tech? And I'm really creating it really difficult for you. If you don't want to answer, just say, I don't want to answer it. What do you suggest that you present to the parents why it's best to be part of this initiative, which we call GEO Next Generation High School, and how it's going to benefit them in this present age that me and, well, I'm the oldest in the crew, that we getting an opportunity that is one of the greatest opportunities, because no other school in the state of Indiana is doing this. And I know after this year, everybody else is going to try to get on board. What is the greatness of this opportunity, Elizabeth?
Well, if you have the opportunity to take college credits while in high school, and while they're probably the most affordable they'll be for a student, so either at a low cost to the student, or sometimes it's free for the student, just depending on the route that's taken, you want to make sure that you take advantage of the opportunity. Now, it doesn't always present itself, and so you do have to make sure that the students are on the right path, as Cindy mentioned. So we want to make sure that we're following what the student wants to do, what their career pathway is, what their education pathway is. But when it all aligns, when it is they meet the prerequisites for the course, they're excited and energized about taking college courses, which I know all of your students will be, then it is one of the greatest opportunities to even just have access to a college classroom before college. Statistics show that students who take dual credit classes, who are at least been in a college class before they go, are more able to persist throughout a 4-year university experience. So just the idea that even if it's just one class, or some students even get their whole associate's degree from us before they go on to a 4-year, even if it's just one experience, it's an opportunity that I think can lead to even bigger and better things.
Kelly,
that's a great segue, Ms. Hibbler. Let's let Ms. Marshall talk about our model and how kids will do this, how our students will do this.
So one, I can't tell you how appreciative I am to have the two of you on here, because you're bringing some credibility to everything that we've been saying. So we have been shouting out and singing the praises of your programming on every live event that we've had. So to actually have you come on unprompted and speak the same language, I hope it says to the listeners that we at GEO Next Generation, we're true to our walk. There are a lot of amazing high schools out there that are offering dual credit opportunities. We ask that parents are really strategic in selecting the high school that's, best meets the needs of their student. At GEO Next Generation, those courses will be offered to your student at no cost to you. And Elizabeth said it best. Those students that have the opportunity to get some college courses under their belt before going to college, that then, or if they choose to pursue that saves the parents a lot of money, as you move forward. And it also saves the student time. So if a student has the opportunity to build that stamina each year that they are taking these courses and build that ability to advocate and properly communicate to their, the best of their academics, then they are more likely to progress through their academic career a lot more quickly and with greater success. So again, at GEO Next Generation, we cover the cost of those courses. So that was a perfect segue, and I don't even think it was planned.
There was mentioned by both of our Ivy Tech professionals the importance, Kelly, of going through certain guidelines and criteria. It seemed very clear to me
Absolutely.
that you got to play the game according to the rules. There's no sliding in. I'm using street language, so y'all please allow me to do it. How are we going to do it? How are you, as the principal, the leader, and the expectations of your teachers, staff, to make sure that these young people are able to meet the entry process? Am I saying it right?
You're absolutely. I can say the first we had a, what was it, 2.5 hour meeting. We've been meeting with parents for the past month. And last night we dug even deeper into about a 2.5 hour meeting just to explain to the parents the process that this takes in order to make sure that their students are ready and mature enough to handle that coursework. So in addition to preparing them academically, we're starting June 1st with that. I'm so grateful to hear about the knowledge assessment, because I'm going to immediately leave from this call and make sure that parents are logged on to that. But we're offering 2 sessions for students to build and support, to build their academics and capacity, and then to also for us to assess where they are starting June 1st through the 26th. And we're going to run another session starting July 13th. In addition to that, we have an administrator assigned just to the interventions, so that they'll be overseeing the ongoing development, to making sure that we're not just preparing students to pass the core 40. We're not just preparing students to pass the Accuplacer, but we're preparing students to be prepared. So that first starts with the communication and buy-in from the parents. Last night on my call with parents, I said repeatedly, this is a partnership. It is not a space where you'll be able to drop your child off and expect us to just drop them off on campus. This is an opportunity for us to work together to develop your students so that they can be successful.
Anybody else want to say something after that presentation? Elizabeth or Cynthia? Are we all on the same page? I'm just messing with you.
Just the importance of them being prepared. It's going to be more beneficial for everyone.
And I think one of the other pieces that our parents want to be aware of, if a student is taking a class with an approved teacher with approved content, that's one of the high school teachers, the program is going to run on the high school calendar. It's going to run on the high school breaks. It's going to run on the high school closing schedule. If a student comes to campus, all of a sudden they truly become a college student. So you may or may not have the same vacations. You may not have the same opportunity to get away if we get to start traveling again. So really becoming aware of how that college 16-week semester, or in many cases 8-week semester, it may be different, and the workload may be different. The other thing is college professors post grades at midterm, and they post grades at final. College professors are going to talk to the students. They're not going to talk to mom or dad or a guardian. And in many cases, you need to be able to let your child be a college student and take those responsibilities. We all have access to grades and other things through the students' My Ivy account. And if you're not willing to let go and let them fly, they can share with you their login, their username. I think that hobbles a child and maybe allows them not to really start flying, but really allowing a student to spread their wings and try with the safety net of the high school, which I think is one of the things that's so exciting, is as a student is still in high school and taking college classes, and many times, you know, they've got a coach on the high school side who's reminding them of homework assignments, who's checking with them on papers that are due. So it's not quite the same as packing their bags and moving them to West Lafayette or moving them to Bloomington and hoping everything works out okay. By trying college on prior to high school graduation, like Elizabeth said, that one class, you're taking a public speaking class when you're surrounded by students that aren't your friends, is completely different than taking a public speaking class in your high school. So, you know, we're really looking for opportunities for students to stretch themselves, grow, and really get to that next step so that they're extremely comfortable, whether it's to take 15 hours of college credit and getting an amazing job at lots more money than I'll ever make as a welder, or, you know, taking those 30 hours that transfer to a 4-year as that general education core. And as we continue to work with the parents with Next Generation High School, we'll have those kind of conversations, and we'll have those conversations with the teachers and the advisors and the students, so that we do really make sure that as we develop a pathway, it's the right one.
I'd like to add something here, Dr. Brown, just quickly. Having spent the last 25 years at the collegiate level, I know it's challenging for a number of parents to allow young people to go from under their wings, if you will, and everybody does it at a different rate and period and state. Having said that, that's where our GEO leadership team comes into play with assisting young people and parents and families into this process. We have a viewer, a listener, Miss Anita, thank you for joining us, who wants to congratulate Miss Marshall on the new role and the great work we're doing with GEO and Ivy Tech for their continued support of GEO schools. Go on, Dr. Brown, one of you can take it from here.
Well, the next, I'll put it this way. We've had what Cynthia and Elizabeth has just described through the network system of Ivy Tech. We've had some students out of Gary and out of Louisiana, who one of them is a lawyer, to help me stay out of trouble. You know, I would want to put it, but you know, can you kind of, Kelli, bring it to the high point of what Cynthia and Elizabeth said about the youngsters who were in a program? And I don't know which particular schools they were.
They were in the Ivy Tech programs. Go ahead, Kelli.
Oh, they were Ivy Tech.
Yes, they were.
Exactly. We've just had, we had a ceremony just recently. We had 49 seniors graduate from 21st Century High School in Gary, Indiana. And of those 49 seniors, we had, you know, more than 20 of them that were accumulating those high school, those college credits. However, there were some that, you know, always just shine. We have at least 5 that have obtained an associate's degree or beyond, and they're moving toward those additional courses. The city of Gary always also likes to celebrate Raven Osborne, who I think kicked off the whole aspect of the GEO model, in which she had gone beyond her earning an associate's degree with Ivy Tech and went on to pursue college credits to receive a bachelor's degree while also obtaining a high school diploma. Now, again, those are your extreme cases, but it just shows that when students are ready and mature enough for those college courses, and you get them acclimated and access early on, and put in the right supports, a partnership such as Ivy Tech will be one that can take those students beyond. You know, the opportunity that the students in Gary now have to take those associate's degrees that they've earned and either pursue a career or to just continue on at the college level has made, you know, life better for them, and just having had the experience. So it's a proven model, and it's a proven effective partnership.
All right. Anything else you all would like to say? Ms. Stout or Ms. Hibbler, would you all?
We have about 3 minutes.
Yeah, you got about 3 minutes. Got something to say, Miss Stout, Miss Hibbler? You all?
we're always excited to work with our high school partners. As I said earlier, we have 114 different high schools and career centers that the Indianapolis service area is responsible for. Last year, we had up to 6,000 students who earned some college credits prior to graduation from high school. And we think that's important to continue to do that work as we open new buildings. We continue to look for partnerships. We want to make sure that we're good stewards of your money, good stewards of your tuition dollars, and make sure that, as we place students into college courses, as we help you find high school teachers who are going to be accredited for traditional dual credit and they stay on campus, that we really work in partnership. And I think that's one of the most important things with the community college. We're not going to be successful without the partnerships that we make with industry and with our high schools and with our post-secondary partners and our transfer partners. We're just excited that you came to us and you offered this opportunity for us to continue to work with another great partner.
Elizabeth, you got a final word for us?
Agreed. Just excited for the partnership, and we always love any type of ability to spread the access of education. So that's really what Ivy Tech is about, and a part of our strategic plan. So we are excited.
Well, Sean, if somebody needs to contact and want to get in our program, what do they do, Sean? And what do they do?
We want them, Dr. Brown, to give us a call right now at 317-608-6220. Or please visit our website at geonextgenindy.org.
Kelly?
Again, thank you to all of our listeners, to our parents that have already supported your student in making the choice to join Next Generation. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to a great year. Parents, those of you that are still deciding, I hope that you are taking the information that we are bringing to you consistently and understanding and appreciating the fact that we are completely invested in improving the lives of our students here in Indianapolis. And if you are interested, students entering grades 9, 10, or 11, please take the opportunity to contact us via the means in which Shan has just articulated at 317-608-6220. I look forward to working with everyone.
And to our visitors, Ms. Hibbler and Ms. Stout, I want to thank you for an excellent presentation. And of course, I want to thank Kelly and Coach, I just call Coach Hart because she's the coach, the referee, and whatever else. Want to thank her for being on the scene. I'm going to do something to all of you listeners that the devil is not going to do for you all. Listen to me. I'm going to leave you alone.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you all once again for joining us. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have your scholars join us at GEO Next Generation High School. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Goodbye.